Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. And for this time, I will be taking another IELTS speaking practice test with, of course, one of my close friends, Mr. Edward Thu. Actually, this session is very unintentional, and of course, it is not a very serious one. But first of all, let me explain about the task a little bit. In IELTS speaking task, there are three different sections: Section 1, Part 2, and of course, Part 3. And every session is important for you. For part one, you will have a general conversation with the examiner. And for part two, you will have to talk about a random topic for about 2 minutes. And of course, part three is actually a two-way discussion. And it's a little bit much more difficult than part one, although it is the same format as part one. Okay, so this is just a general knowledge, just some general knowledge about IELTS speaking test. So let's get started. So here I'm with Mr. Edward Thu, and he will be my acting examiner for today, and I will be a candidate for this test. So are you ready? Yeah, let's get started.
Yeah, that's okay. Right. So this is IELTS speaking practice test. I'm your practice examiner for today. My name is Edward. What's your name?
I am Josie Myinthe, but you can call me Clay.
Okay, clear. Nice to meet you. Now, do you work or are you a student?
I'm actually a student, and right now I think my professionalism is all about architecture. So I think I'm trying to become an architect right now. Yes.
Mm. Clay, why did you choose this subject?
First of all, I think my dad influenced me a lot because he used to be a civil engineer. And whenever I saw him in the past, I was really inspired by him. And I think that might be the first reason. And of course, I'm also into building blocks and infrastructure and stuff. And I'm quite happy to do that.
So, can you tell me something that you don't like about your study?
Oh, it would be definitely, let's say, drawing. It's a shame to admit that I hate drawing, although I love to study architecture. But sometimes I feel as if drawing is quite boring and tedious, and you have to spend a large amount of time for it. And sometimes you need an immense amount of energy to do that. So sometimes I kind of hate it, I would say.
All right. So let's go on to talk about sport. What sports are popular in your country?
Definitely, in my country, the most popular sport would be football, as we all know, and football is played among young people. Of course, I think some senior citizens also play football too, but rugby and many other sports are not that much popular in my territory.
Mm. So, did you learn any sports at school?
Yes, I did. Fortunately, I would say I did learn to play basketball when I was in school. I think it was because of my mother. She used to teach me how to play basketball. And I think she always tells that, still now, she always tells that she used to be a basketball champion when she was in her university. So I think she was my first teacher.
Mm. So, how often do you watch sport these days?
Um, Oh, it's a shame to admit that I don't watch sport programs a lot. I think they are not just my vibe. They are not my cup of tea, and I feel that watching sport is not really my type. Instead, I would rather read articles about sports. Sometimes like the football teams that I like, but I think it's quite rare. I hardly do that.
So, do you also participate in any sports at the moment?
Um, I think I am really into swimming right now. It might be because there is a swimming pool, indoor swimming pool in the place in the atmosphere where I live. So I have a chance to go there, especially in my downtime. And I just try to I would say let my hair down to relax myself and to stay away from my stress a little bit. Although swimming is physically demanding, but I think it's a very good activity for young people to do.
All right. So, we'll be moving on to part two. Okay. So, I'm going to share my screen to show you the cue card. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
All right. So, you'll be describing a special event that takes place in your country. Okay. You'll have to talk about this for 1 to 2 minutes, and you have a minute to think about what you're going to say. Do you have pen and paper?
Yes.
All right. So, you can start making notes. right. Are you ready?
It's
We can start.
Now I want to talk about an event that is significantly quite important in our country, and it is no other than um, Dinjan Festival. I don't really understand why it is so popular, but as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the most culturally significant activities in my country. And there are, of course, many people celebrating this festival during that particular time. I think the event normally takes place in the summertime, especially around April in our country. And I think there is a very vital, a very, I would say, prominent reason for this. So I'm going to tell you why it normally takes place. So Dinjan is celebrated with the aim of clearing your sins that you literally committed in the past year. That's the first reason. So we use water as our cleaning material to wash away every sin that you committed in the past year. And I think that was a very lovely culture that we practice. The second of all, as we all know, summer is extremely hot. The sun is sometimes scorching. And so to ease that pain, most Burmese people had a plan, of course, to play with water or to wash with water. And I think that's, again, another lovely characteristics of our country. I really adore it though. What people do, quite simple, as I mentioned earlier, you basically pour water. That's very simple. However, on the other hand, there are still many people who go to, let's say, monasteries or who visit pagodas just to do some good deeds. I think that the main reasons why it's so popular, not only in our country, but also across the world, it's because of the fact that most Burmese people normally see this as a time that they can do good deeds. You know, they donate money, for example, to monks or to the poor sometimes, or sometimes they also do a lot of, I would say, sometimes they normally prepare Burmese dishes as a charity, and I think that's a very good thing. Why this is so special? Again, because this exhibits our traditional customs and norms towards the world. So there are actually many tourists who flee to our country during that particular time, and they all extremely feel happy and excited to be a part of it because they know that this festival is so important for us. And at the same time, they also can learn about our traditions, our customs, and every practices that we do. And I think that's really a very good thing. However, let me tell you one thing that I really hate about Dinjan during these days, because most young people nowadays don't really understand the value of it. And sometimes we try to, I would say, there are some intentional matters that we do that might deteriorate the meaning, the value of this activity. And I think that that is something that we should avoid doing. But apart from that, I am convinced that Dinjan is very enjoyable, very clean. And at the same time, it's also one of the most amazing events happen to our country. Thank you.
All right. So now, you mentioned that in Dinjan, some people splash water or some people go to the monastery. So what do you do especially then?
For me, as a young boy myself, first of all, of course, I hang around with my friends. I think that's the first thing that we do to enjoy the taste of it. We hang out together, we wander around the city. But sometimes, if of course, if my mind allows for it, I sometimes go to monasteries or I sometimes go to pagodas just to I don't know, just to do some good deeds, I would say. Yes.
All right. So let's move on to part three. We'll be talking about celebrations for families and friends. Now, what sort of occasions do families and friends like to celebrate together?
The first thing definitely would be important festivals like Dinjan that I mentioned earlier previously. So in these kind of events, we family members gather together to celebrate it or to reminisce about the past, obviously. So in our country, we have the Indian festival, and of course, we also have Christmas, for example, the war has it. So, and then we also have many other traditional festivals where family members gather together just to commemorate something, or of course, just to reflect the past, just to reflect the life that we have. And again, I think there are also some exceptions like graduations, for example. And yeah, so these are some activities that family members gather together to celebrate.
So, how important are celebrations in people's lives?
I am convinced that they are extremely important. First of all, it really provides an opportunity for all the family members together. It literally gives the reasons together, you know, so that's why it's quite important for us. At the same time, celebrations are extremely important to identify who we are. So we are Burmese people right now, right? We are Burmese, and so it's quite important for us to show the younger generations who we are and what we do, and of course what we practice. So these kind of celebrations, I believe, carry some sort of knowledge, and it's that's why it's a very good thing.
So, should people have time off work for important celebrations?
Yes, I do so. I am a strong believer that people should have some downtime or free time, let's say, whatever it is, to celebrate this special movement. Again, because these events are quite rare, you know. For the Indian festival, it's only once a year, so it's a very rare occasion. And I think everyone in our country, or let's say in Christmas, it's again once a year event. So everyone across the world, they really want to have a time with their family members or with their beloved ones. And I think both governments and some companies, I don't know, some employers should allow for that. Yeah.
Hmm. So let's talk about national celebrations. Why do many people enjoy participating in national celebrations?
This is a hard question. But for me personally, I have to say that it's because, again, it's because it shows who we are. And it also gives us a sense of unity in our environment, in our society, you know. So when you celebrate national events all together, you really have a strong sense of who you are. And I think that's one thing that you cannot purchase with your money. So I have to point out the unity here.
Hmm. So have national celebrations become more or less important over time?
It's actually less important, unfortunately. I have to admit that. It's because of globalization, if you ask me the reason here. So globalization is, of course, it's quite good. It really offers many advantages and perks and benefits to society. But at the same time, it really shrinks I would say, the ability to celebrate, the capacity to celebrate this kind of events, you know. So we become much more fluid. At the same time, we become much more, it's like we unite one. At the same time, it really encourages in a negative way to lose our own identity. So I would say it becomes less and less important, in my opinion.
Hmm. So what sort of things do you think countries will celebrate in the future?
Um, it's quite hard, but from my point of view, most of the countries in the world, they normally celebrate significant days which relate to their religion, first of all, and of course, which also show a very strong sense of victory, I would say. So for example, May 1st is, as we all know, it's the Workers' Day, that's what they say. And in our country, we also have many days that are very prominent. And I think most of them root from a situation where a kind of victory emerged, or let's say a kind of tradition emerged, so that these kind of days will be the most popular in the future. Most of them might be related to religion, but still there might be some days like Workers' Day, Independence Day, and but when you look at them very specifically, you will know that these all stand from a very strong sense of something that might be prominent in our country or in our society.
All right, that's the end of your speaking test.
Thank you so much.